Welcome back to the Pioneer Sports Report. Let's look at a recap of fall sports. Women's volleyball ended their season 33-4, losing in the regional championship to Washington University. And a great run by them. But Jimmy, can you just highlight what made this year so special for the Pioneers?
Well, I think it was the the improvements over the season. This team started well, what people expected, but they continued to improve, which is the most impressive thing. And if you talk to Coach Schulman, she'll say it's the hard work, but more importantly, it's the team chemistry, which she has said it might be the best she's had in her 23-year career here.
And you definitely have to have some chemistry that when they put together, 21, match winning streaks, get ranked 14th, and they just have really done a good job, I think, of coming through the season and peaking at the right time. Definitely in the WEAC championship, and then in the regional championship as well.
Yeah, definitely peaking at the right time is the best way to make a tournament run, and that's what the volleyball team was able to do here at UWP this year. They, weren't that great in the middle or in the beginning of the season, as I mentioned, and continued to steadily improve and peaked right when it counted the most, and that's good team chemistry at its best.
So a great season for them. Now let's transition to cross country, who we just talked to, Gina Smith. She's headed to nationals, but the men's team is headed to nationals as well, which just highlights another great season by them. Jason Garvins and Patrick Klein finished tops in the WEAC championship, and then also fared very well in regionals, which advanced them to nationals. Can you just highlight on just basically how cross country is just a real tough sport and how they've been so dominant through the seasons?
Well, running is a difficult task in general. Gina told us off air that she runs 60 miles a week, and she said, I'm down to 40 now, and I was like, well, I'm down to 0, so we got that going for us. But but running is so much more than that. It's the nutrition, it's the workouts that go into it, it's the summer, it's staying in shape. It's probably the one sport where you have to stay in shape all year round. I know other athletes are in shape, but they let it go a little bit in the off season and need to get back in shape. These athletes are in shape all year round because that's how important it is. And it's a difficult spectator sport as well because it's hard to go at a certain time and just watch.
So cross country, we wish them luck at nationals. And another sport that just ended their season is Pioneer football. They ended 5-5. Their season 5-5, and they ended up 4th in the WEAC. And they just played Stevens Point, falling to them. But Ben Higgins has more on that story.
We're here at Community Stadium at Gerke Park, where the 5-4 Pioneers are set to take on the 6-3 Pointers. With a win here today, the Platteville Pioneers will have a chance to have a winning season, their first since 2004. Also, they'll give them a chance for a second-place victory in the WIAC. It is windy today and rainy, so the ball will be slippery. So hopefully the Pioneers can get their run game going early. After the national anthem, we are set to get underway as Platteville kicks it deep to Stevens Point. Number 7, Anthony Aker takes it at his own 12 and starts off to the left, gets a few blocks, breaks a tackle, and takes it 88 yards to the house. The Pointers now go up 7-0, and what a way for them to start this game. The Pioneers would try to answer back, but would be unsuccessful and have to punt. On the next drive by the Pointers, they hand the ball off to number 22, Keith Ingram, and he gets a few blocks and takes it 20 yards before getting dragged to the turf. The very next play after that, he gets the handoff heads right, but number 38, Dave Dano, gets his hand on it and strips it out as Kevin Costin gets his paws on it for the recovery. Nick Anderson here will find Brian Halltrip to set up this 1-yard score by Patrick O'Brien as he barrels his way into the end zone for the score. And this will tie the game up 7-all headed into the second quarter. On Point's first drive of the second quarter, Jake Swink finds the end zone for a 1-yard QB sneak. Platteville will try to answer here as Nick Anderson rolls out to his left, but it's picked off by number 24, Joe Malesva. Joe Malesva would take it down to the Pioneers' 22-yard line, which would set up an ensuing field goal to put them ahead 17-7. On Platteville's next drive, Nick Anderson would find Joe Birkland down the sideline for a nice 15-yard scamper. The next play, Nick Anderson would drop back looking for the middle of the field, but would get picked off for his second time of the day by Joe Malesva, who would elude a few Platteville defenders and wind up at about the 16-yard line. That would set up a 14-yard pass from Jake Swank to Mike Mullins. On the following kickoff return, Sean Martinez would turn the ball over at their own 20-yard line. But never fear, because Platteville's defense, Courtney Alexander, would answer here with a pick at the goal line and return it to about the 20-yard line. Pioneers were fired up, as they should be, as Nick Anderson now starts with a few seconds left, finds Joe Birkland on the left sideline, who gets a face mask penalty called and won't go down until 3 pointers have to take him down at the 27-yard line. After a few penalties, there'd be 1 second remaining, and Platteville would put a field goal through to make it 24-10 at half. Second half action now, the Pioneers needing some help to get back in this one, and they find it from none other than Lee Vlasic, who takes it 69 yards to pay dirt. This would rein in the gap to 7, and Platteville's defense would need to hold strong. But after a few questionable penalties by the officials, Keith Ingram takes it 42 yards for the score. The Platteville fans were very unhappy with the Zebras. But all the booing in the world would not help the Pioneers in this one, as number 36, Mike Griffin, takes it 11 yards. As the weather turned, Platteville puts together a drive to score, but it would be none too late in this one, as Stevens Point would take it 45-24.
So a 500 season for the Pioneers, their first since a similar 5-5 finish in 2006, and let's take a look at some stats. The Pioneers actually outgained the Pointers 449 yards to 328, but Jimmy, I really think it was just this Pioneer offense. Nick Anderson had 4 interceptions. It really gave the defense a short field to work with every time. And with Stevens Point just had some great running backs. Some penalties went against the Pioneers that did not help them out at all. And when you give an offense like Stevens Point a short field, they're going to do some damage.
The defense for Platteville actually played very well, as they have all season long. But unfortunately, when they are only defending 20 yards of green space behind them, it makes it very difficult to keep points off the board. And they did an all right job of that, actually. But if they'd have played with a longer field, they'd have been a lot more successful. But the fact that the Pioneers outgained Stevens Point shows just how much of a struggle it was for them just to keep the ball in their control.
So the Pioneers, a good season, a definite building block for next year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're definitely going to be able to move on. They're young, sophomore quarterback, sophomore running back, who made a big difference. Their best linebacker, and Nick Snyder, is a sophomore as well. So they've got a lot going for them, and I'd expect them to be very successful in years to come.
Yeah, I really think they will. Lee Vlasic is returning. They have a bunch of key guys returning, as you highlighted. So should be a great next season for the Pioneers, and a good spring season for sports as well.
Yeah, it should. I mean, spring season is coming up here in a little bit. Winter season, we got to get through that first too as well. Stay tuned to the Pioneer Sports Report, because when we come back, we have an exclusive look at Pioneer basketball, and both Coach Jeff Gard and Megan Wilson are mic'd up.